Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Online Offstream Podcast. It's our 12th episode, which is crazy. We've gotten so far. It is amazing. I'm Razzie, and I'm here with.
Estella, hi everyone. Happy episode 12.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Episode 12 is wild.
It really is. It's been kind of an interesting journey for us this season, settling into even uh, doing a podcast in the first place, let
Yeah,
alone while the world falls apart around us.
literally.
Um,
Remember how, I don't know, it's just weird to think about how we literally just had a random conversation one day of just being like, I want to start a podcast. You want to start a podcast. We're
yeah.
doing it.
It was one of those conversations that I look back on through this year and I'm like, that was a really good like sharing a brain cell moment that we both like actively were like, okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah. We
Let's
didn't
do
even
it.
think anything of it. We were just both like, wait, you want to do this? I want to do this. And then the next day, just recorded our
Life of
episode.
long distance besties, though, honestly. It's like, you
Yeah.
want to do something? I want to do,
Uh,
let's do it.
let's do it now, right here, right now.
Right here, right now.
If we were in person, life would be chaotic.
Yes, but also like made of all kinds of good memories and good adventures
Yeah.
too.
Actually,
Yeah.
no. Okay. It would be chaotic, but also at the same time would be the most chillest thing ever because remember when we were in the hotel and we just
Yeah.
bed rot for
Yep.
what 3 days?
It was amazing. We watched so much SpongeBob and just like we were talking, we had some deep chats. We ordered some food in. It was so calm. Like it was what I wish our normalcy was,
Yeah,
just like being able to just be together and hang out. But
literally, exactly.
we make do by being 3,000 miles away from each other by having a podcast.
Yes. Yeah. Is it actually 3,000 miles?
I mean, that's like what everybody says about like New York to LA. So it's
Okay.
probably even a little bit further on the diagonal.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that makes me
I
sad. That's so far.
You
That
just
makes
gotta
me kind
fly
of sad.
out. Come to
I mean,
Canada.
who knows what's next, you guys? I could end up being Canadian.
Hey,
You
I
never know.
mean, I'm not complaining, so
Exactly. I gotta get loaded up on the plane.
yeah.
The big thing is, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, two of you have to get married." And I'm like, "Hold on a second. Hold on a second. There has to be another way." But we're getting ready to escape the US. I don't know.
Lavender marriage.
Yo.
Listen, Estella and I have enough photos of the two of us where it looks very coupley, and we have proof. So it's like if that was
And if
ever the
if the US
situation.
government is listening to this, we are married. What are you talking about?
Oh,
Those
yeah.
pictures are real proof.
Yeah.
We love each other very much, which is true, but no, those pictures. Literally yesterday, the day we're recording this is February 15th. Yesterday was Valentine's Day. I opened up my Snapchat,
Oh, yeah.
and the first thing that opened up my Snapchat was a compilation of Razzie and my Bitmoji doing couple poses and like making like Valentines. And I was like, I didn't click a button, nothing happened. It just Snapchat said, here's a compilation of the
I'm
Bitmojis
not
doing
gonna
couple poses.
lie, when you sent me that photo, I was like, "Oh, this is cute." Cute coupley photo of your Bitmoji with somebody, and then I looked at the other Bitmoji and I'm like, "Wait,
That's
this looks
your
like mine.
Bitmoji.
That's my Bitmoji."
That is so funny.
I'm like, "Oh my God, yet another coupley photo for the both of
Add it
us."
to the album. Add it to the
Yes.
album. No, I didn't even do it. Like literally, I just opened Snapchat and it put together this gorgeous compilation of the Bitmojis, and I was like,
That's
accurate, I
so
guess.
funny. That's so
Snapchat
funny.
knows.
I honestly forgot that I had Snapchat too, until you sent me the Bitmoji. I have it there. I just never open it.
I
Literally,
only open it on holidays to see what filters there are.
that's
Like
smart.
just to see if there's something cute. Because
Yeah.
like sometimes it's like it's a cuter filter than whatever Instagram comes up with. So that's the only reason I still have it. And I was like, oh, let me see. And before I even had a chance to look at the filters, it was like, Happy Valentine's Day.
Literally, the last time that I opened it was like when we were in the first hotel all the way back in like
So
September.
long ago.
Yeah.
That's
And I
wild.
haven't touched it ever since. Do, do,
Yeah, on
do.
our bed rot days, we did a couple Snapchat filters. I have one of you as the icon, the legend Ratsy in personified, which is still a horrifying
Ra-
photo, but
Ratsy has gone from being virtual to real. Ratsy can and will find you and hurt you
anyway,
anywhere. Be on the lookout.
that is so silly. But yes, we're recording this February 15th, day after Valentine's Day.
Mhm.
And we have talked about on the podcast wanting to kind of have topics for each episode. And today we thought we would talk about mental health a little bit as our focus because I think around this time for both of us, we start getting in our feels a bit,
Yeah.
and it's the world has been not super kind to us throughout the past couple months, as most of our listeners and followers know.
Mhm.
Things have been going down for both of us.
Literally, like right before we recorded this episode too, we were like, or well, you said you're like, what's gonna be our topic? And I'm like, well, like what's trending right now? And then ultimately I was like, oh, well, we could do mental health. And you're like, yeah, because we're both going through it right now. And I'm like, this is
Yeah,
true.
yeah. And because our podcast is very much like yap chat and be very real, I think it's an appropriate topic while, the world is kind of going through what it's going through, and the two
Hmm.
of us who do our best to kind of keep some of the mental health stuff offline. I think it's a good opportunity for us to talk about it and open up a bit more. Because I do think, when I'm going through some of the darkest times, knowing that other people can relate or have a similar experience, I know sometimes that helps me feel not only less alone, but also uh, less crazy that like I'm feeling this.
Yeah. Oh my
Um,
God. That's like the worst thing is feeling crazy for feeling the way that you're feeling and like thinking the things
yeah,
that you think. And it's like, why? Ultimately, it's like, why am I like this? Why is my brain like this? It's stupid.
literally, it's frustrating and it's hard to sometimes be able to verbalize. Um, but as I said, like I know sometimes knowing that other people are going through something similar, or hearing on a podcast or hearing on a YouTube video that somebody else experiences something similarly or copes the same way or whatever, um, it can be very affirming. So I hope that we can provide a little bit of that space for anybody who is also going through it, and struggling in current climate of 2025,
Hmm.
because we're halfway through February, and what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Literally, like, so, like, our episode is about mental health. And with all of the freaking, like, situations going on in America and the whole situation within like the entire world, it can be a lot like to just deal with what it is that you deal with in your own personal life. But then like having the sources that you use as a distraction to kind of constantly remind you of what's
yeah,
going on in the rest of the world and like how depressing everything is, it freaking sucks. It's awful. And like it becomes a lot and becomes incredibly mentally draining.
yeah. And a big part of that, I think, for both of us has been, social media as an escape and being able to, kind of let ourselves doom scroll a little
Hmm.
bit. But I know for me recently, doom scrolling has only made things worse.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It has not
I
been an escape at all.
I am totally like full transparency here. I am always going to like watch those videos that are like, hey, can you stay for like a minute to help me raise money because like I'm on the TikTok program and blah blah blah. Like I need it because like I'm sick and like the money
Yeah.
that I get from this can help me and whatnot. And like they're like do like hit all four of the buttons and stuff like that. I'll do that. But then it's like when you do it, then your algorithm feeds you that more. And it's
Yeah.
like it happens so often. There's only a certain amount of like all of it that you can take. And so it's like to
Yeah.
have like almost every single video when you're doom scrolling being like, "Hey, could you please stay and help me?" Like I cry. I literally get to the point
Oh,
where I'm like, I feel so bad for these people. And then now it's like people and their pets and they're showing that like their
yeah.
pets sick and stuff like that. Like I literally break down crying and I'll like put my phone down. I'm like, I cannot. I can't. Like I cannot
That's so sad.
emotionally and mentally deal with this right now. And like
Yeah.
I feel selfish because sometimes like lately I've been catching myself going back into like my TikTok watch history so that I can go back to that video and like it and repost it and blah blah blah. And I'm like, but like then it's back onto my algorithm and then I'm gonna be like getting
Yeah.
more of it and it's just like a very repetitive cycle. It's awful.
It's really hard to be able to separate sometimes and like kind of pull back from what we normally like when our mental health is at its peak clarity, I guess would
Hmm.
be the words of like the kinds of people we are online, the kind of advocacy we want to be able to provide. Um, it's hard to be able to kind of separate that when our mental health is also struggling.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, I'm always going to be the person to want to be very outspoken and share resources and give the benefit of the doubt of, like I
Oh
know
yeah,
everyone's
same. Absolutely.
overloaded with stuff, but like I'm
Yeah.
still gonna share it. But for me, when my mental health is shit, I can't even take in anything to look at myself, let alone be able to like be a voice for people
Yeah.
and be able to like share, like actively look for good resources and fact check everything and do the work. And sometimes it feels selfish because it's like you want to still do what you want to do, but it's like I also sometimes the one post that goes up on my story that 150 people see doesn't actually matter when it makes me cry.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to weigh it, checks and balances, weigh the options.
Yeah. And it's like it all goes back to like pick and choose your battles, I guess, or like pick and choose things, right? Like I remember I very much like was the kind of person where it's like, oh, this was before I was like streaming and everything and really into social media. But I remember just like watching these videos and it's like, oh, how can you not have the empathy to like constantly support these people in these situations and
Right.
whatnot? Like how are you looking away from it? And then it's like as I got older and like life got more complicated for myself, dealing with personal things and then like having to deal with that all on top of it and being more into social media, I'm like, I can't. Like as bad as it sounds, sometimes I have to look away or like step away from not necessarily look away. I feel like looking away is the wrong thing to say, but step away from like
Yeah.
the video that is like presented in front of me kind of thing because it becomes a lot. It's very mentally
Yeah.
draining.
I mean,
Um,
that's kind of the hard thing with social media like TikTok, like Instagram Reels, is it's like you never know what's next,
yeah.
which I think is the intrigue of it. It's like you can be scrolling and you never know what you're gonna see. But then that's also kind of the hard thing when you're trying to use it as a tool to escape.
Hmm.
It's like you never know what you're gonna see next. Are you gonna see, a cute dog? Or are you gonna see a funny video? Or are you gonna see, you know, a celebrity crush edit? Or is it gonna be something that's like absolutely devastating and heartbreaking, and then you're
Yeah.
like just way back into the hole again?
Yeah.
Which is why honestly, like I stepped back from TikTok about 99.9%. Because my entire TikTok feed is all political all the time. And
Yeah.
like I don't even get any of my Sebastian Stan edits, and that's illegal to me. It's like that is how I cope with my mental health. Where are they? Not there.
Not there. How dare they not be there? Yeah, I find that like I haven't been scrolling through TikTok as much lately just because of like it is a lot of political stuff going on there right now. And I'm very much doing my best to stay on top of like the current issues and know what's happening. But to like constantly be fed out the same video, the same type of content over and
Yeah.
over and over again, it's a lot for sure. It's just like it's crazy how like random social media can be. So I'm like trying to, because I mean, like I'm addicted to social media. I'm sure many of us are.
I
I
think
will
it's
not
a
deny
universal
that.
issue now.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's like I'm trying to like go elsewhere to like feed my social media addiction, but TikTok ultimately always sucks me back in. It's just very weird to
Yeah.
like have those like brain rot videos that kind of take you away and then immediately get sucked back in by like a political video or like a sad video or something, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's right, this is the world that I live in, and then you just kind of spiral from there.
Yeah. I feel like because I've been on Instagram Reels a lot more recently because I've stepped back from TikTok. So a lot of people have been sending me more Reels and like I've kind of built my little algorithm over there, which not that Instagram is better than TikTok. Let's be very real about that. But I've been spending more time over there. And something I didn't know, which I learned like very recently, and I keep forgetting because I'm so used to TikTok, is that people can see your likes. And I feel like I've exposed myself way too deeply on Instagram. So if you see a video and it says that Estella liked it, ignore that.
I'm
Please.
so going to
Thank
start being
you.
on Instagram more just so I could see that.
There's an entire feed of things that it's just like the people that you follow have liked. Just putting that out there.
Stop.
It's messy. It's messy.
Stop.
Um, but because of that, I feel like I'm getting a little bit more like I'll still get a couple political like advertisements or political commentary, which I appreciate and like having at least a little bit, but it's mostly stuff that my friends have liked that are like cute, like outfit inspo. I get a lot of bookish book talk stuff. I a lot of people are that I follow on Instagram are actively kind of cleansing their own feeds. So they're looking for the cute stuff. So I get a lot of cute stuff. I get a lot of Taylor. Um, so that's been helpful. But I also am like, oh my God, what
How
have I liked?
how do people see what you've liked? Because I've
If they go on the friend,
liked some
see, that's my concern.
things
I
on
fully
Instagram.
put us on blast, put all of our business on blast.
Oh my
There's a whole
God.
feed on the Reels tab on like when you click on Reels on the upper right, there's like three little faces usually in hearts. That's your friends tab. And if people are scrolling through that, it'll show like what some of your friends have liked.
That's wild. That is so
I mean,
wild.
I'm I'm like they're gonna I've already seen people's posts that they have liked and I'm like I
Oh
don't
my
think they want to
God.
know that I know that they liked
Well, I
like
mean, I guess people are gonna see what I like now on Instagram, or at least I'm gonna know people are gonna know what I'm looking at. So,
it's
I
the
mean,
acknowledgement.
is it anything surprising though? That's the thing.
No, no, definitely not. I
I
won't say who, but I saw somebody who liked like an entire like photo shoot of the Australian firemen and like them being like about 90% like naked and taking
honestly,
photos
as they
and
should.
somebody liked it and I was like, "You know what? I'll like it too."
Yes,
Thank you.
exactly. There you go. Honestly, like this is a sidetrack from mental health related things, but like having your
Here it
friends
comes.
follow your social media accounts is both a blessing and a curse, because when you want to
Yeah,
like things or like tweet about something, like I know that you follow my
I'm in
alt
the loop.
Twitter,
I'm in the loop.
and I posted something on there the other day, and I was like, do I just like block my friends that follow this account?
I will say I have like I follow it and when I open Twitter I will like some stuff sometimes comes up, but I'm not actively on Twitter right now. So I missed your
Okay,
most recent.
good.
So I'm not
Well,
as in the loop.
no, because I put it on Blue Sky too.
Okay, then never mind.
Just like ignore it, okay? Just mute
It's fine.
that account.
No judgment, only support. You know, I'm in your corner going, yes, Razzie, get it. Get it. Get it. Get it.
Oh my god. Okay, but yeah, it's
But yes,
back to
mental
mental
health.
health stuff. That was like
I think that all of those
plays
count as
into
mental
it.
health.
Yes.
We cope how we cope.
Exactly. And sometimes you just gotta make a perverted tweet or post somewhere.
Exactly. Exactly. Sometimes you just have to like a
My
post somewhere.
people who don't really know the whole different side of me listen to this podcast.
Listen, we are our authentic,
Oh my
real
god.
self. You wanted online off stream, we give you
You're
online off
getting
stream after
it.
dark. Let's be real. That is
Oh my
so funny.
god.
I mean, listen, part of mental health and part of coping in the world that we're in is finding ways
Hmm.
to protect our sanity. And
Hmm.
sometimes looking at a nice photo does exactly that. And I don't think there's any judgment
That is so
in my
true.
eyes.
That is so true. You know, sometimes you just gotta, yeah, just look at some photos and you're good to go.
You're good to go. Well, it's funny because obviously, like a lot of our listeners and a lot of my followers know, I'm a big reader, right? I
Yeah.
read constantly, nonstop. I always am reading something. And most of the time it's something that's like just like a fantasy story and it's very
Hmm.
like cutesy and demure and like yes, my mother has read this book. But there's also like there's enough content online and enough romantasy books that I read that my audience also knows are not just cute and subtle and demure. Like it's very known. And it's like if I can put myself in another world for like an hour to read about little fairies falling in love and fukin,
Freaking
I think that's mental health. That's what I would say.
that, no, you are so right. Absolutely. You know, you gotta cope how you cope.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm not in America, in Los Angeles, where we almost burned down and we flooded yesterday. No. Like, I am fine. I am actually in Valeris with this hot Fey man who's like 10 feet tall. No big deal.
I am living my best life right now through this book.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
no,
mental health.
that literally goes for everybody. You cope how you cope. Um, unless you're an asshole, okay?
Yeah.
If you, okay, like if people don't like what I'm gonna say, then that's on you because this isn't even a bad thing. But if you are really going through it and you're having like really bad mental health issues and whatnot, and you decide to take it out on other people or use that as an excuse to be an asshole towards other people, then you're fucking wrong and
Period.
you're an ass. You need to go get yourself checked.
Facts. Say it louder for the people in the back.
Get yourself checked.
No, that's so true though. Like I think something that I mean I can say this definitely is I really respect the fact that like even when you're going through it, you still are you. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? You don't compromise your integrity for because things are hard.
Yeah.
And that's something I have a lot of respect for with you, especially. Like you
Thank
actively
you.
are still you, you know? And I feel like that's a really hard thing to do sometimes is like when mental health does kind of take control, whether that's, depression or anxiety or however it plays into it, it's like it can be really hard to clear the fog enough
Hmm.
to remember who you are as a person and still actively show up and still, you know, remember who you are at the core. And it
Yeah.
doesn't give somebody a free pass to
I
behave poorly.
you're definitely the same way too though, like cuz like we're both always going through something. There's stuff always going on behind the scenes that people don't know about that we don't necessarily like to talk about on stream. We wouldn't really want to bring up on even on like the podcast because it's that personal.
Yeah.
But there's always stuff going on, and it's like like dealing with all sorts of mental health issues and then still being able to be like genuinely you and kind and like caring and empathetic of other people while you're dealing with that is like a gift. Like it's a good thing and you're able to do that.
You're making me gonna cry. I can't. I'm too fragile. Thank you. I'm glad. I mean, as I said, like really respect that about you, and I think so much of our friendship is so based off of us both kind of being our authentic selves with each
Hmm.
other that there's never ever any pressure to like show up more than we can, but
Yeah.
we still try to when
And like
even when both of us are deep down in the gutter.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. You need to have those people that'll like understand and be there for you and respect you and like let you have your boundaries when you're having your moment, you know? Like
yeah,
it can be tough. Like I will say I've kind of brought it up prior um on stream. I don't know if I've ever brought it up on the podcast, but people that know me personally know that I don't necessarily have the best relationship with like my mom.
yeah,
And so it's like, you know, whenever I'm like really depressed or like really dealing with something, like that situation can kind of be a lot and heads butt a lot. And so it's like that could be tough. But then whenever you have people who understand that you're going through something, they may not necessarily know what you're going through, but they can tell that something's wrong. They give you the space that you need. And like we'll back off a little bit, but also still keep an eye on you to make sure that you're okay. Like that's important to
yeah,
have. And like we do that for each other,
definitely.
which helps so much.
Yeah. I mean, that's it's always a challenge. I think it's taken both of us a long time to kind of find our people who are able to where it's a good balance of, give and receive.
Hmm.
There's unfortunately a lot of people in this world who are just not capable of showing up for other people without it feeling very tit for tat.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about that on our friendship episode. Um, and I think that definitely plays into it, especially for me when it comes to mental health and when I'm struggling, who I actually share
Yeah.
when I'm struggling with, because I feel like it turns into a thing when it doesn't need to.
Yeah. Like it
um,
absolutely plays into mental health because there are a lot of people out there. I don't like I'm sure there are people out there who don't realize they're doing it, but then there are people out there who do realize they're doing it. Um, I'm sure you know of a few. I know of a few. There's a few that we know of together
I
that are very
promise.
much like this, but
Yeah.
um where it's like you're dealing with something and like you wouldn't go out of your way to kind of tell them what's going on, but they reach out to you and ask you what's going on, right? And so you kind of open up to them because you are like friends with them. Um and like being open book people, we open up to people and tell them what's going on. But there are a lot of people out there who don't realize they do it or do realize and still just do it where they'll kind of like just immediately not even acknowledge what it is that you told them and will just
Yeah.
focus more on whatever it is that they're dealing with. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well then like thanks for making me feel like a piece of shit or making me feel like whatever it is that I'm dealing with is like not important or shouldn't be something that should be taken care
Or
of kind of
it
thing.
turns into kind of like a competition almost of like
Exactly.
who has it worse. And again, like I feel like both of us know quite a few people where that was, you know, a factor that both of us decided to kind of separate from because because of that. And,
Hmm.
again, something that I really respect about you is like throughout our friendship, like so much shit has hit the fan in both of our lives.
Yeah.
Like the realities that we have lived through over the last couple of years have been really crazy, and it's not just us. The world has literally been a mess.
Yeah.
Um, but just from our experience and our friendship and how I think even though both of us have had very different kinds of shit hit the fan, um, the fact that it's like even when you're like when you tell me something that's going on and you still are like, how are you doing? How are you holding up? And vice
Hmm.
versa. It's like there's a really good balance of being able to show up for each other and kind of be in the gutter together, but still want to help each other out of it.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, particularly in the recent I want to say like even in the last like 6 months, so much has happened that I think both of us have been fighting through.
Hmm.
And I mean, I think you mentioned this on the last episode or on one of your streams about like sometimes kind of pulling back and isolating a little bit,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. But
I'm very
even
guilty
through
of like
you
bottling up my emotions and kind of just like,
you do that.
goodbye. I would
But
just
even through that, you
hi.
still show up for your friends.
Yeah.
You still do that, even when you're not always sharing all of your feelings, which will come in time. And I,
Who
and
knows when that'll happen, but I'm sure it'll happen
it'll come in
eventually.
time. But you still show up for your friends, and you don't make it a competition of who's having it worse right
Yeah.
now, because
Because,
that
like,
doesn't help anybody.
you know, the saying, or like, I say it, but like, I've said it a couple times, but um, you always have to put yourself first to make sure that you're okay before you could be there for other people and help take care of other people. But sometimes, like, even when you're going through it and dealing with like super shitty situations or dealing with a lot of emotions and stuff like that, being there for other people, even though even though they're going through it, is important. You know, it's like it's not that you're necessarily taking anything away from yourself, but you want to be there for other people and make sure that they're there for other people, because also like if they're the type of person in this situation, you are very much like that, where if I were to be there for you, I know that in return you would be there for me, right? It's like
Yeah,
goes back to the whole like everything's a two-way street. Like
right,
nothing should just be one way. And it's like I know that I would get myself to where I would need to be, but then also I would have the assistance from like a really good friend to kind of get me in a better
right.
situation.
Yeah. No, it definitely. I mean, obviously, mental health is such a individual journey because even
Hmm.
people who have, similar diagnoses or similar experiences obviously can feel it very differently.
Yeah.
I know we've had a few conversations just like offline about, depression and how that affects our individual lives. And I feel like even though there's some things that the two of us experience very similarly, there's also a lot that we don't. And it's just a different way of processing and experiencing our feels,
Yeah.
and I think for me anyway, when it comes to my lovely combination of mental health, I don't want to say it. I hate the word disorders, but I guess that's what it is, you know. But it's like my combination of like anxiety, ADHD, and depression, all three swimming around in my brain all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like it can be also very challenging to even know how to ask for support or like how to even express what I actually need because
Yeah.
I'm like too anxious to ask
Well, like
because
this
I'm
was
so
like
sad.
when what was it last week that we hung out?
Yeah.
Yumi and Jen, we hung out in a call and I was like, you know, like I need my friends because I'm dealing with
Yeah.
something, but like I don't know how to express what it is that I'm dealing with or like talk about what it is that I'm dealing with. So I kind of like just didn't reach out to anybody because I'm like, I'm going through stuff, but I don't know how to say like I'm going through stuff or what to talk about. So I'm like,
I also like I feel like that was a very much a clear testament to our individual friendship because I had that feeling that you were feeling that and I was like I'm just gonna keep reaching out until he's ready to get on a call. I'm gonna be like, hi, here's a random thing on here. Hi, how you doing? Hi, wanna call? I was like, I'm being so annoying, but I'm like, I feel like we need to get on a call.
I'm just sitting there like, oh no, I feel so bad.
No.
I can't. I need to cancel. I can't talk to anybody.
No. But I was also very proud of you for like canceling when you needed to.
Hmm.
I think that's something that I have recently had to kind of come to terms with, particularly this year. I've never canceled so many streams back to back in my entire stream career. Um, And some of it have been completely out of my control. We had random construction, we had a storm, we had fire. I mean, I don't even know what's happening. But I think it was last Wednesday. I was just like, I had received some really hard news and I was just trying to get through the day.
Mhm.
And I was like, there is no way I can give my best, let alone put myself on camera in front of people when I'm very much a heart on my sleeve person. I don't hide my emotions well.
Yeah.
um, like if somebody says one nice thing, I might cry. If somebody says one horrible thing, I might cry. That's not the mental state you need to be on camera in front of
And
people.
like that's the thing too. Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, when you stream, like just go live. Like it doesn't matter." Like for some people, they say like it doesn't matter what emotional state you're in or whatever, just go live, right? But like for people like us, and I'm sure there's people out there who can relate, like when you're feeling so deeply a type of way, anything could just be like triggering enough. And
Yeah.
it's like why put yourself through that when you can just literally like just take a break, recover, focus on yourself, and then like get back to it when you're feeling better.
Yeah. And I also think because the two of us are fairly emotional people and lay out our emotions very candidly
Hmm.
online, um, I think that plus taking into consideration the state of the world. I mean, I've gotten more like hate comments on stuff in the last, you know, month and a half than I have probably in the last 2 years.
Hmm.
Because being visibly queer, being visibly POC, being a plus size, non-binary adjacent person, like
Yeah.
I'm just like a target.
Yeah.
And that's been a very challenging thing, and I know a lot of queer people are feeling it right now. But especially online when you're being a visible person, you're being visibly in the fight. It's like random people on the internet. Sometimes you can just block them and it doesn't make an effect, but when you're in that like hole of sadness or anxiety or whatever, it's like
Fine one
somebody
second, next second on your bed just crying for no
sobbing.
reason.
And usually my answer is like, oh, well, fuck you, goodbye, no big deal.
Yeah.
But when I'm in that state, like it can be my like cherry on top. It's the horrible, horrible joke, and I don't mean this way. This is purely comedy. But I always am like, yep, 13th reason. Like, like, and I don't
Yeah.
truly
Yeah.
mean that, but it's like I don't want to put that. I don't want to have also the people that have been supportive, my amazing community, see that happen to me on
Yeah.
like camera, seeing somebody affect me that way. Because it doesn't at the end of the day actually matter what any, troll says. But when I'm
Yeah.
already on the edge,
Exactly. That's the thing,
please
right?
go.
Like at the end of the day, like people are gonna troll always, and there's always gonna be some sort of situation. Like this is the life of content creating. But
Yeah.
when you are such an emotional person and you're going through so much already, everything becomes a lot. And then it just like all adds up very quickly. And it's like, well, yeah, no, this is my 13th reason.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And it's hard to be able to show up and actively participate online when
Hmm.
you're feeling that way. And I know you've had uh, your own journey with taking breaks or postponing streams or whatever. And
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot to say for the people who are choosing to take care of themselves during this time. And as I said, like I've never canceled so many streams back to back. Like that was
Yeah.
not the plan. Most of it was out of my control. Most of the time I was trying to like stream, but my like cable, not my cable, my internet went out.
Internet's like, nope.
And I'm like, nope. So most of it was not my fault. But the few times I've had to cancel because of my mental health, it's like sometimes doing that, even though it sucks, it still shows that you're showing up for your community because it's showing that you know the limits, you know how to take care of yourself, to step away when you need to. And that's
Exactly. Yeah.
really important right now.
Um, Estella, like, and then a couple other people know, but like my current like mental with streaming stuff is like I feel like I'm at the like getting to the end of content creating and streaming, but also at the same time, like I know I'm not. It's just like one, I guess, imposter syndrome, and two, just like because of my current mental health state and where I am currently in life, like everything's a lot, and so I'm just like, because content creating can be so mentally exhausting.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, is this the end of it? I don't know, but that's why I've been taking a lot more breaks than usual because I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want to completely burn myself out and just be like, yeah, I'm done. And it's like I know I would come back to it too. So it's like why stop doing it to just come back to something that you enjoy, you know?
Yeah, I don't think you're done. I think right now is a very weird time online. You know, things have been a very strange, like the patterns have not been patterning, of like to be able to even plan content and be able to give our best that way.
Yeah.
Like from a content creation like numbers point of view, things are very unsettled right now.
Yeah.
So and that plays a role in mental health as well, seeing some things doing really well and some things not. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
what am I even
It's
doing?
like it's not
Um,
that numbers are important either kind of situation for anybody that's like,
no,
"Oh, why are they focusing on numbers and blah blah blah," right?
no,
It's when you how I look at it, I don't know if you look at it this way too, but like when you want to grow as a content creator, you kind of unfortunately do have to look at those statistics, right? It's like you
yeah,
can't just, and this is for anything in life, like you can't just do something and then expect it to just like grow and then you're at like an elevated level. You have to look into things and figure out what it is you need to improve on, where you can improve, and then go from there.
yeah. And it's work. I mean, that's the reality of content creation it's work.
Yeah, exactly.
People think you can just set up a camera and voila. It's like, well, sometimes that, some people have been very fortunate about that for, one video or two that it was just like a quick little moment. But to actually have it be a sustainable thing is so much more than that.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's not even so much about the numbers and what they are in that moment. It's more thinking long term. And so it's like numbers have been really weird recently, and then trying to navigate the online space when you're struggling is really like it's a real challenge.
Hmm.
And I don't think you're done. Truly, I don't think you're done. I think right now is a lull time where you're also working a full-time job,
Yeah.
and
Which is
it's
exhausting
not
because
an
of all
easy
that
job.
drama.
Right. It's like that's an exhausting situation in itself,
Yeah.
where like the world as a whole is a shit show and it
Yeah.
takes a mental toll. And then the online space, even when we're not focusing on creating content, but even consuming content is exhausting.
Yeah. One of the
There's no
things about
escape.
like being so emotional that sucks is like literally anything can be like any sort of, I don't know if triggering's the right word to say in this situation, but like just setting you off, I guess triggering, yeah, would be the same thing. Anything can just kind of like make you feel a
Yeah.
certain way, set you off to like feel a type of way or get into your head and it's like, okay, well, how about I just stop?
Yeah. I think I told you, I think it was on our call with Jen the other day. For those of you who are not paying attention to some of the crazy shit in the US.
I thought you were gonna say for some of you not paying attention to us, and I was like,
No, no,
wait,
no, 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 no. To the
that's
stuff in the US.
crazy.
That's crazy. No, just those of you who are not paying attention to some of the crazy stuff in the US. There have been a lot of book bans recently,
Hmm.
and one of my absolute favorite like children's books is on the list of banned books. And I saw that on Instagram at like 2 a.m. one day, and it sent me like so deep into sadness for this one book. And like it was about the book itself because it's a really great book and it's a book that I think every kid should read. Go find Pinkalicious before it's taken off the shelves.
Hmm.
But it's one of those books that I'm like, okay, why am I actually like upset about this? I'm like, this is a pivotal, life-changing book for me. Of course I'm gonna be upset, but it was one of those things where it was like this represents so much more than the book itself, but it was that thing that was a trigger of me being extremely emotional and upset.
Yeah.
It can be small things, but they end up adding up as well.
Oh
Um,
yeah, absolutely.
and it's hard to be able to not be surprised when something's upsetting too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think your emotional capability and who you are as a person is a gift. Truly, I wouldn't change it for the
My
world
emotional
because
capability. My
it's
my emotional capability is me holding everything in, not telling people things, and then going to bed crying.
well, that's your emotional processing capability. I just mean how that you are connected to your emotions.
Okay,
You
okay, yeah,
know,
true. Yeah.
that you know how you're feeling and sometimes decide to share them. I just mean like it's something that I think a lot of us in 2025 struggle with because it's so easy to turn them off
Oh
for a
yeah.
lot of people.
Yeah.
People just shut down.
I don't
And
know how they do it. I do
I
not
don't
know
know.
how there are
I don't
people
know.
out there. If you are somebody that's like that, you can like just turn off your emotions and be fine and just like keep going at things.
Scares me a little
Please
bit,
teach us
but good for
how.
you. Good for you. But like I really respect that as a quality in you that
Mhm.
you don't shut down. You even though it sucks because we have to feel them by being emotional people.
Yeah.
I would rather feel like shit and still feel something about 90% of the time. There's a good 10% where I'm like, I hate this.
I don't want to
Um,
feel this feeling.
right. But like, I think in a world where it's so, people are so quick to shut things off and not feel, I think the people who are feeling it, even though it's challenging and we're struggling,
Hmm.
I think that's where kind of the magic is
Yeah.
because it ends up creating deeper friendships and relationships and it ends up bringing to the forefront the people who are actually connected and the people who matter actually show up
Yeah.
because they get it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, that's my personal opinion, though. I don't know.
No, that's so true. That's so right though, because it's like the people that actually like care about you and will show like are gonna show up for you will show up for you when you're in situations like that because you
Yeah,
matter to them. So
exactly. Exactly. You matter.
you matter too. Everybody
Yay.
here matters. Everyone listening to this
Exactly.
episode and listening to the podcast matters.
You do matter. It's a hard time, and I wish there were easier ways of finding ways to cope. You know, ways to
Hmm.
process and live through this without it feeling so dooming, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but I think there are the best ways is supporting each other and finding community within the people who are struggling too, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's also like you find your community and you can all help each other be more empowered and feel
Yeah.
empowering, which is always such a nice feeling.
Yeah. I think the words that I was using to kind of describe that throughout this has been like circling the wagons. You
Okay.
know, it's like, you know, for a very dark time on the Oregon Trail. Um, people when crazy
We're
shit
in
was
dark times
happening.
right now,
We're in
so
dark times now. But people they would physically circle the wagons, make sure everybody was inside the wagon circle so that they could keep eyes on everybody. And if somebody was ill, they knew where they were and they were able to take care of them and protect them during a fight, etc. Because the
hmm.
Oregon Trail was fucking crazy.
Jeez.
But I feel like that's what we have to do now
Yeah.
with our people is obviously not the physical same structure, but kind of the same thing of like keeping not keeping tabs in like an aggressive way, but keeping your eyes on the people that you love and you care
Just like
about,
checking
showing up
in
for
on your
them.
friends. Yeah. For
Exactly.
people that matter to you.
Exactly. Showing up for them, supporting them to the best of your ability.
Hmm.
And obviously the people who make it into that circle also need to show up for you.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
That is
non-negotiable.
that is an important thing for everybody to know. And if you do not know it, then learn this lesson. But if you are there for people and you're caring for other people, great, but they should also be there for you. Okay, you may not think that it's an important thing or that they need to be there for you, but they should be there for you. Like,
They should be.
you shouldn't expect it. That shouldn't be a thing that anybody should expect. It should just be something that happens when somebody's important to you. And it's like even if they aren't, like they don't consider you to be as important, as you are to them kind of thing, they should still be checking in on you and like
Yeah.
looking, seeing how you're doing and stuff like that. And if they don't, then you don't deserve them. They don't deserve you. You
It's
don't
their
deserve them.
loss.
They don't deserve you in their
You don't deserve
life.
to be treated that way.
Exactly.
But no, I mean, it's exactly that. It's, finding your people, and that's challenging in these times. But, kind of making sure that you're taking care of yourself also does mean that you have to take care of other people.
Yeah.
Um, so it's not easy. It's a really hard time. Obviously we're having the empathetic feels from separate countries,
Yeah.
right? And Canada is going through its own thing. The United States is whatever the fuck it is.
Very much going through its own thing.
And it's kind of hard to be able to, 100% show up to support in every aspect from being so far away. But
Hmm.
um, showing up for your people, your online friends, it doesn't matter how far away they are. If they're in your corner, they're right next to you.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Twitch is a great resource. It's so fun being able to see so many friendships be created from our communities.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's very
I've really been
cute. Makes
loving
me
it.
happy.
Yeah. But yeah, Twitch is a great place for that. I would steer clear of making friends on Twitter because what? Twitter is crazy.
What?
Uh,
I mean,
have you not? They're bots. The bots that are talking to people. Did you see about this?
no.
There've been a bunch of fake profiles recently that have been discovered that have been like actively talking that are like AI.
That's crazy.
I was like, excuse me.
If you don't know somebody on Twitter, don't make friends with them through Twitter.
Exactly. Like, double check what we're working with.
That's crazy. I
Isn't
did
that
not know
crazy?
that at all.
Be cautious of Twitter.
Yes.
Be
Yeah, there
cautious.
you go. That's suspicious. That's crazy.
Don't be suspicious.
Don't
Don't be
be
suspicious.
suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be.
Don't be suspicious.
Alrighty.
Yeah,
Well, I think that's the end of our episode. This is episode 12, which is crazy.
absolutely wild.
Super crazy. This episode will be up on whatever day Wednesday is of
Wednesday,
this week. It's the
Wednesday
15th today
day.
while recording. So it'll be up in a couple days. Which is gonna be super exciting. And then yeah, we have some really exciting plans for the future of the podcast, which I can't wait for you all
Yes.
to see and hear about. And I'm really excited for you all to continue to be on this journey with us.
Yes, and I so appreciate everybody for bearing with us through our new schedule change and for all of the
Hmm.
support and excitement about the podcast, even when we've taken a little bit of a break from it. And I'm really looking forward to our upcoming plans. We already have some stuff scheduled out, which I'm really looking forward to doing. And where can they find you, Razzie? I know you're taking a little bit of a break, a little bit on and off, but still, where can they find you?
Yeah, still on a little bit of an off and on break, not formally, but I could be found on Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, still on Twitter, unfortunately, Blue Sky, and YouTube at Razzie Eliza. And Estella, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitch, of course, a little bit on YouTube. All of my big builds streams for my bookish series are going up on YouTube. I do still have a Twitter account. Sometimes I'm there, sometimes I'm not, but all Stella M. Stone.
Perfect. Well, now you know where you can find us. And if you want to check us out, if you listen to only this podcast or have found us through the podcast, please check us out on all of our other social medias. You can also follow our online off stream podcast page on Blue Sky. Or also join our discords if you would like to, because we post updates there and on all of our social medias. Thanks so much
Yes.
for listening, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Happy episode 12. See you in the next one.
Woohoo! Bye bye.